Having a week. Hey, we're back. It's been a week. We haven't been on live in a week, and said I was going to start this thing up. I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach, and this is the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. Here we talk about Scrum and Agile in a practical and tactical way. So you get home to your family and friends, not work so hard, enjoy life, and have some fun, and make money for the business and your customer, and make everyone happy. These are the goals, right? Today, Fortune Cookie Friday. Yay! So we're going to do a fortune cookie because I got this whole bag. So we're good on fortune cookies for at least the rest of the summer. And we're going to do a fortune cookie. But today's topic, I want to talk about 3 top failures. 3 top failures. It's sprint planning. Not sprint planning. Sprint review. One of them is related to sprint planning. That's why it was on my brain. And I wanted to share this with you because I don't think sometimes we dive in so many topics, but what is not covered and why and where and the failures. So I'm going to talk about these 3 failures that I believe a lot of teams do. My failure that I see is they do the sprint review after sprint planning. That's my number one failure I see in teams. They're like, oh, we don't have enough time to get the work done, so we'll just do sprint review after the sprint planning for the next sprint's done, right? So instead of doing it they really don't do it very well, but I guess I could draw it. But when you show the big circle, right? And I realized when I did my podcast, I said, I got to describe what I'm drawing on the whiteboard because people in the podcast cannot understand what the heck I'm writing. So you have the big circle, right, with the line in the bottom going over, and that's a little scrum thing, right? And then you have at the end of the other side of the circle, this is scrumming, and you have your review, and then there's a retro, and then you go back around to planning again, right? Sprint planning. What's happening is that they're doing the reviews inside the next sprint. So instead of doing outside sprint, they're doing it in the sprint during the next sprint. And I'm using green, which you cannot see. This green does not work on the whiteboard at all. So I just drew all that stuff and it didn't really matter. See, I got to get back. This is what happens when you don't release code on a regular basis. And you think after not releasing code for months that you're just going to go right in and it's going to be like, oh yeah, we're not going to have any problems. Never seen it before. I always kind of inside laugh when I get people saying, oh, we're good, we're going to release, no issues. I'm like, yeah, every time I see that, it never happens. So again, they're going into, so they go through the sprint, reviewing the and then you're supposed to review it, do a retro, and then do that prior going into the sprint planning, right? But what's going on, my top issue, is they're doing the review post-sprint planning and why they're in the middle of the next sprint. And they tell me these excuses like, oh, we don't have enough time. I says, well, here's my thing. Did you just take away time from your next sprint too? So the logic doesn't make any sense from a time box perspective and a time and a work level. Well, we ran out of time to do sprint review, so we're just going to do the next sprint. Aren't you just pushing it to the next sprint? So now the next sprint doesn't have time because you just did a sprint review for the previous sprint in the sprint. That doesn't make any sense, right? And it doesn't make any sense. 2, you lose the ability of getting any feedback back from the customer and putting it into the sprint planning and working it right away. And I'm going to talk about that as one of the mistakes that people don't do, which leads me into no feedback. And I got 2 more, and I'll come back around why I'm doing this. Second mistake. So the first mistake is they do sprint review after they did the next sprint planning session. Okay, so it's after it. You already picked your stories you're going to work on the sprint. You didn't do the review until the very next sprint, and so on. So in other words, you're already starting to work on stuff that's in the plan. And per Scrum Guide, you're not supposed to change it, right? So what if something comes out of that thing that the customer didn't like, wouldn't take long to do, but now you're in the next sprint. You don't have room to do it. What do? It just causes turmoil. So that's the first one. Second one, no feedback or new stories, new scope from the customer. If you run a review and your customer provides no feedback whatsoever on what was shown, you failed. Someone will say, well, the customer liked it. No. The customer should be giving you feedback on what they saw, maybe some new ideas. It should grow into the next stage. How does this fit into the next sprint? What do they want to see in the next sprint? And if you don't have that, your review failed. Okay. Now, at first, some of the new teams that never done this before, I go, okay, talk about it, have a technical review, but the same logic applies. If no one else in the technical says, oh, I like that idea you did, I want to make sure I use that in the next sprint, you failed. Okay. I'm just being I'm being a real agile coach, a real coach here, not the, oh, your feelings don't get hurt. I'm telling you the honest damn truth, right? So if you get no feedback, whether it be a technical review or a review of the customer, and you get no stories, excuse me, for the next sprint, then you failed, right? I haven't used those markers in so long. It's been so long. I just got in my throat. Anyway, okay. So those highlighters are really potent. If you haven't used them all, just like not doing it, get yourself prepared. If you go in the office and you haven't used the whiteboard markers in a while and you get hit by that smell, whoa. That's what just happened to me. Anyway, so number one is that you do the review after the sprint closes, after you already did your sprint planning. Number two, get no feedback from the customer. So those two. Third one, and the last one, I'm just going to give you three, because I want to do our Fortune Cookie Friday, is not giving the stakeholders of your review time to give you feedback. So many times I go through, they pack it to the gills. There's no chance for discussion. This is live too. I'm coughing. It's terrible. So they give you no room for discussion, right? So that's like the third one. That's the third big one. They pack it to the gills, no chance for discussion. So when I coach enterprise, when I coach teams, so many times it's like a freaking PowerPoint presentation. I would actually let the customer actually run the software in the review, to be honest with you. I'm a little braver than most people. I'm like, if it breaks, we know. We've already tested it. We already checked it out. It should be working the way it's supposed to be working. And if it broke, that means we didn't come up with a test case, and now we have a feedback loop. And where I'm going at all this stuff. So there's three, right? One, do the review after sprint planning for the next sprint. Two, get no feedback whatsoever from the customer. Three, don't provide the customer any room to give you feedback during sprint review. Don't tell me that doesn't happen, because I see it happen all the time. So why am I saying this? Because truth, the review is a feedback loop. If you're not getting good quality feedback part of the review, why are you doing the review? And they say we don't do the review because no one's interested in what you're doing. Just being honest. You want that review. Tell us what's wrong with it, right? Or tell us what you want to do and go to the next level. How do you want to take what we just reviewed here? And what does that impact our next sprint? All this is supposed to feed into the sprint planning. And here's why. Wouldn't you love to be a customer where you got shown something, you provided feedback, and the very next day, your person you hired to do the job tells you, we took your feedback and we incorporated it in the sprint, and we should have it in the next, you should see it in the next demo. I think customers would be euphoric on that. Customers are getting so beat up and so like, you never give me my feedback. You never take my feedback and give me immediate response on how you're going to implement it. By doing this the day before, you are rapidly being agile. This is what agile really is about right here. What I'm telling you right now is that you take that feedback from the customer, adapting your plan to incorporate that feedback and get it in the very next sprint. The very next day, you're telling your customer it's part of the sprint backlog. We're going to work it in the sprint. That is the mind-blowing part of what agile is. That makes the customer so happy, and you will get paid for that because they're going to like, oh my God, they actually listen to me. How many times in the world people think, no one listens to me. No one listens to me. No one listens to me. Oh shit, my team just listened to me. And in fact, they just put it in the backlog. Boom. Mind-blowing occurrence there, right? That is what Agile is about. And it's not taught in these damn classes. But I teach it that way. Anyway, but that's how it's not taught. So it's that mind-blowing idea that someone's actually going to take my feedback and actually do it. So those are the three. So the top three: doing sprint review after sprint planning for the next sprint. 2, getting no feedback whatsoever from the customer. 3, not giving your customer time and space to give you feedback during that sprint review. So those are the 3 failure modes I see. Going to go in the Fortune Cookie Friday because our show is within the time box for a daily scrum. Make sure. Last week we went a little long and the video wasn't too good in the beginning because I forgot to turn on the software. I got it on this time. So with that, we are opening the Fortune Cookie. We're going to see what the Agile accountants have to say about the show or Agile, Scrum, whatever, as it applies. I'm getting the little thing out. Last week's was pretty good. Okay. All right, here we go. Men show their character nothing more clearly than by what they think laughable. I think I just laughed a lot on that one. So I would say it says men show their character in nothing more clearly than by what they think laughable. I would say men and women. What they think is laughable more their character. So how would we do that? As an Agile coach, I'm going to laugh if you do. I'm going to roll my eyes and my God, I'm like, why are they doing this when they do those 3 things that I just mentioned to you? But what makes them laughable? One of the things we do at one of my groups, we actually do some fun time and we want to have fun. So making us laugh shows your character. If you can't laugh at yourself and laugh at what you're doing, you're going to have a long life. But that has nothing to do with the topic. I don't know. Laugh at sprint review. Oh, how about this? There is going to be a mistake during the review. There's always something. There's always some feedback. When it doesn't work, just laugh it off. Okay, that is something I want. Well, it's kind of hard to laugh. Some people will take it very personal. Like, why are you laughing? It's serious business. Like, just that was my fault. I messed that up. That was my fault. We'll do better in the next retro. But, laugh it off. Laugh off the mistakes. You can do that. So maybe we'll go with that. Since we're doing sprint review, we're going to make mistakes. Things aren't going to work because it happens. You're going to find a better way of doing it. Maybe your customer sees something and they go, God, you did exactly what I said, but this is not what I want. You got to laugh it off. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. You got to laugh it off when your customer says, this is what I asked for, but not what I wanted. Don't do it in front of the customer, but you can laugh it off as like, here we go again, in your own words, in your own thoughts. So let's go with that. I think that relates more to the sprint review. And sometimes you have to laugh off what the customer tells you. You got to do it, but it's classic, right? So you just kind of giggle. Anyway, so that's our show for today. I want to wish you all happy scrumming, a great day, 14-minute mark. And again, we're here trying to help, give you some ideas, some different takes on stuff that goes on. And I wish you a great day on this Friday. Got all the trash out from our moving back in the house. House is still a little crazy. Stuff everywhere, still things to do. But we're getting there. We're almost back into the house. So take care. Have a great day. And see you next time. Bye. See ya.